Potential tropical cyclone 1 is moving towards Texas right now, and heavy rain is starting to ramp up along Texas this morning. Considerable urban, river, and flash flooding is expected with this for much of South Texas, and tropical storm conditions are expected along the coast. Today is June 18, 2024, and in this video I'll break down what to expect from this tropical system for Texas. As of this recording, our system in the Gulf is not technically a tropical storm yet and is thus considered a potential tropical cyclone, but at this point it doesn't really matter what it's called. The impact will be the same, and that's some significant heavy rain and gusty winds, mainly for Texas. And hey y'all, this is Future Isaiah here. Just as I was editing this, we did get an update from the National Weather Service that our system is now officially a tropical storm, so this is Tropical Storm Alberto, the first tropical storm of the season. Again, the fact that it's now a tropical storm versus a potential tropical cyclone, it doesn't really mean anything impact wise, but it is our first storm of the season, so there's a quick update. Notice that the track of our system takes it a little way south of the US into Mexico, so 200 miles away from the US. Well, why are we expecting impacts in the US if it's that far away from us? It's because the structure of our storm is just very odd. Instead of the traditional compact tropical cyclone, we just have this very broad and large area of disturbed weather. Taking a look at the current wind field, notice that our storm is very lopsided, so most of the winds are occurring well north of the center, and it extends over a very large area. The storm wind field and system is really big. Tropical storm force winds are occurring greater than 400 miles away from the center, which, just for comparison, is nearly the width of Tennessee. This large area of disturbed weather north of the actual center of the storm is what is moving into Texas, and it's expected to bring the impacts. We are expecting some gusty tropical storm force winds along the coast, but winds aren't going to be anything wild, with at most the same winds to 35 miles per hour, perhaps gusting to 45. A few lightweight yard objects, maybe empty trash cans outside, could get blown around, and a few tree branches or limbs could get snapped, but overall very limited wind impacts. The much bigger story is flooding, with just a lot of tropical moisture moving inland. Coastal areas could get 1 to 3 feet, maybe up to 4, of storm surge. So again, this isn't anything crazy, but it is certainly enough to bring some coastal flooding and create some problems. Aside from that, it's just going to be the heavy rain that creates the primary flooding concern, especially as we move inland. Following our computer models, we can see a prolonged periods of heavy rain down south as the shield of rain moves through. And some of these red and pink shades could have some torrential rainfall rates of 1 to 3 inches per hour, which can quickly add up if they train over the same areas for several hours on end. Now, the biggest update with our system is that the corridor of heavy rain and flooding has been trending southward. So originally we had places like San Antonio and Houston that were expecting some heavy rain and were included in the flooding concerns, but now it's looking way less up there with only 1 to 2 inches of rainfall and no flooding concerns. However, down south we do expect some heavy rain with 3 to 6 inches totals expected to be widespread, so we do still have flooding concerns, but they have been trending southward. So San Antonio, Houston, and anywhere north of there, you're pretty much in the clear at this point. It's just further south, like Corpus Christi and Laredo, that we need to be on guard. The Weather Prediction Center does have a moderate risk area of flooding, so this area in red down south, and this is a good indicator if you should expect some of the higher flooding impacts. Anyone in this red shade is under the most concern. If you're in the impact area, just stay highly weather aware throughout today and be prepared to evacuate if told to do so. Especially if you're along rivers and low-lying valleys and flood-prone areas, make sure you're paying attention to warnings and you are ready to leave in case the worst happens. And always remember, if driving, to turn around, don't drown, because it really doesn't take much water to float your car and quickly bring you in a potentially deadly situation. I did want to also briefly mention that there is a tornado threat as well with this. It's pretty low, but it is still present. Tropical systems moving inland can produce some brief, weaker tornadoes, so this is looking possible in some of the rain bands with this particular system. The Storm Prediction Center has a marginal risk of this in all these areas in green, which are the locations I should keep an eye out. Not a hugely concerning risk, but damage is possible if a few of these tornadoes form, so have a way to receive warning. And remember that if warned for a tornado, just move indoors to the most interior room of your structure, with ideally as many walls between you and the outside as possible. But any tornadoes that form should be pretty weak, and we aren't expecting any widespread tornado outbreaks. So overall, this is definitely not any epic or massive system, and is not a reason to panic, but be prepared for loss of heavy rain, and the flood threat is definitely considerable, especially for South Texas. But if we're ready for what's coming, we'll be just fine with this. Again, it's not like a big time hurricane or anything like that. So pay attention to the weather, stay safe today, monitor the flooding concerns near you throughout South Texas, and we'll see you later. Have a great day, y'all.